Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal podcast for LupinRanger versus PatoRanger and Kamen Rider Zio. Due to the holidays, we decided to merge these today. I am Vashi V, and joining me today is
Right?
And Zero.
So Sentai, it was Christmas filler episode. It was still pretty fun though. Basically, Sota, the toddler that liked Phantom Thieves and then ends up liking the police, he invites Sakuya to their Christmas party, their school's Christmas party, and he wants to eat chicken with them because I guess that's a thing in Japan. And of course, Sakuya agrees. But the problem is, there's a Ganglar that is basically forcing everyone to eat salmon because he thinks it's more Japanese or whatever. It's pretty ridiculous, but we get some pretty funny bits, like a Noel taking his train all the way to France just for the cake, and then he goes back for some chicken. It's pretty fun, but yeah, any thoughts?
I love chicken, so that part of this episode just kind of like appealed to me. But also, this was just a really fun episode that I kept smiling through the entire time.
like these type of fillers are usually can tend to be really bad, but this one, as off the wall as it seemed to be, it was really good. Like the way they kept cutting back and forth between like the shop owner's stories and then having the Gangler walk away and it basically refreshed to the actual scene that's going on at the moment was a nice little like, odd touch, but it played out really, really well. And the fact that they brought that kid back, which is just one of those things that would usually just get written off and we'd never see or hear that character again because it was such a minor thing, and here it is, hey, he's back.
Yeah, Bill did a decent job of that. Zero?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I thought like it was gonna be a standard Sentai episode because, you know, it's like being used to Rider, Christmas is like whenever shit goes down. Pretty much like the climax of the first arc. So I'm like, okay, I have no idea what's going on in Sentai. So might as well not even watch the episode. And you guys are like, oh, it's filler. I'm like, shit, I should have actually watched it. But yeah, so I'm gonna just set this one out because I have no idea what's going on in this episode.
Oh, then just tell us your thoughts on the crazy shit we tell you.
Okay.
For example, the monster is stealing all the chicken in Japan and replacing it with, what was it, sashimi or something?
It was different types of salmon.
Salmon, of course.
Yeah, that is weird, but I'm like, I guess that explains why it cuts to oh my god. This just wow. Okay. So you know how in like Zio, like the uncle is like, hey, go get chicken?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's been like the thread for like a couple episodes, all the ones in December. Was that actually leading up to this fucking oh yeah, I made this feast and whatnot, and it just like zooms in on the chicken in the Zio episode. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's just food.
And then the
I guess Japan likes chicken.
Yeah, I know. I guess it was like a whole foreshadowing thing that we totally missed. That's weird. Yeah, but this whole like salmon for chicken thing does sound like some really weird old school Sentai plot. Like the really cheesy ones. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe this is something that would happen like
well,
like
so
the
here,
second half of like O-Ranger or something when like they basically did the Hibiki thing and like rewrote the series pretty much.
like, to give a bit more context that makes this even more out of place, the plot for this series is that the monsters are competing to be the next Monster King, basically. This guy is not competing for anything. This guy just really wants everyone to eat salmon.
I guess it's just a definition of filler, but yeah, it does sound pretty weird.
And this episode has the most unnecessary use of a mech. because most series don't have the mechs getting used outside of battle beyond like the carrier ships and whatnot. They decide they need more shit for this party.
So
They get Noel to get in his giant train mech, drive it to France to pick up a cake, and drive it back and drop it off.
So Noel, like, watching the train depart from in front of the restaurant, that was already pretty good. But then when he goes back to France a second time and it shows him just, like, driving across the globe.
Oh my God.
In that very childlike TV show where the Earth is a very small ball and everything's gigantic on it. Like
That's what I was just thinking. The Muppets. Oh, we just drove across. We held the breath. I mean, like we're holding our breath, like driving across the oceans. It's just a pond after all.
Also, the look on everyone's face when Noel says he knows where to get good cake, and they ask him, "Oh, where are you going?" And he goes, "France, of course."
I mean,
Like,
of course.
why? You're going all the way to France for a cake.
I mean, come on, world class sushi, cake, why not, right? Like Kabuto went there. He's showing up next episode. Maybe he finally got some good. I mean, no, actually,
Maybe
he went for
Kabuto learned how to
tofu.
make something other than tofu for once.
Kabuto actually could cook, but yeah, that's pretty great. That sounds hilarious though. It's so weird. I mean, here's the thing, like if the Tokuger pulled that, I'd be like, okay, yeah, it's fine. Their whole thing is they're just random trains that just show up, right? It would make perfect sense, but like in the show it seems super weird.
Then you get the monster's attacks.
Which is literally throwing well-made salmon in people's mouths.
Wait, the monster is just a choking hazard?
Well, two random
Not
people.
really, he wants people to eat it.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like the greatest threat is you might choke. So,
When
right?
well, he ends up fighting Noel and Sakuya, during which he uses two special attacks, one on each of them. One puts the overlay on the screen, like the background overlay of somebody cooking salmon,
Oh, that's right, I forgot about that.
and he's rolling around in the pan. And then Noel ends up in what, like a bowl of some type of
Like, one of them ends up in fried rice, the other one, I don't know, shrimp.
yeah, and all the attack for Noel is them sprinkling seasonings on him.
When the fuck did this turn into like fighting foodons or
This episode!
yeah, or Die Ranger? Like I'm not sure, I haven't watched Die Ranger, but it seems like something insane like this might get pulled there. Wow, this episode sounds insane. I should have watched it.
You probably should have watched this episode. It is the most out-of-place episode in the entire series. It's not a bad episode either, like, I couldn't stop smiling. I was just having so much fun. The actors was having so much fun.
And
And then did you explain the fucking samurai showdown that they had?
No. That was pretty short, but you can do that.
Yeah, like, when Sakuya goes to challenge the Ganglar for the chicken, like, they do this, like that old samurai style thing where they stand on opposite ends of each other, and then they cross paths, and then you wait and see which one falls over. And yes, the monster's weapon was a salmon sword.
This is ridiculous. Oh my god, this is like fuck, this is ridiculous.
and then
Sounds so much fun though.
and the monster wins that. And,
What?
and immediately goes, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm gonna go steal more chicken.
And
Oh my god. This guy, he sounds awesome. He's like, yeah, you're not even my problem, bro. I'm on a mission from
then
I don't know, Salmon God or whatever.
They don't even have a rematch for this.
That's okay. So it's not even like a Geki Ranger thing where they're like, no, we can't lose to this guy and his technique. We have to go and better ourselves, like remaster
Nope.
Toku or something, and have a show. No, it's
Nope,
straight
they
up just never brought up again.
They just go back to normal fighting after.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. I was expecting some like One Piece Sanji food showdown, but
Nope.
oh well. I guess they ran out of budget.
We actually did get that kind of episode earlier in the series, though.
And
What was it based on? An evil knife? Did the chairman?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the Kabuto Iron Chef episode.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
and then like they're going around trying to get a beat on what's going on with the monsters and all that, and they keep it. Well, that's what Kyrie is doing. Sakuya is looking for chicken. That's all he cares about. Because it's not Christmas without chicken. That is literally his only goal this entire episode, is to get chicken.
And true to form, it doesn't occur to him to defeat the monster first, then there will be chicken again.
He's literally running from shop to shop that sells chicken, and they're basically all closed, and he gets the explanations from them, and like I said, does a little flashback to what happened. And each time he goes, well, did you think about selling more?
Oh my god.
And the guy goes,
And they always say yes.
but as soon as they put it out, dude came back.
Oh my god! What? Wait! I thought like people were buying it. I thought this was like a Jingle All the Way situation, where it's like this thing is like super covered in and it's super sold out. No, the monster literally just came back and stole it again.
Yes.
Stole
Holy
all the
shit!
chicken again and replaced it
And
with salmon.
replaces it with salmon.
How fucking Roadrunner is this nonsense at this point?
It's
What?
extremely Roadrunner this episode.
Oh my god, this is insane.
Oh.
Ah, fuck.
Jeez.
You know what?
So they
This
send
is
Noel
too
back
good.
to France because it's the only place that they can go and safely get chicken, to have Lupin Blue cook it to lure the monster out so they can actually fight him.
This is ridiculous, especially because it's chicken, and like
It's
is
chicken.
One... No. The chicken is the one like mass-produced like meat source that we literally have. Like there's as many chickens on this stinking planet as there are humans. So like running out of like billions of chickens. I mean, I get it. It's Japan, so they probably don't have that much, but it's still just the most ridiculous sounding thing, and they somehow managed to make it work. I guess that's what you expect from the Sentai that made a shark rare pink sailor Fuku and still make it work somehow.
Like, what makes this episode work is that they own it. They didn't just make this episode a little weird. They made this episode fucking absurd, unnecessary. And they went for it. And all the actors went for it. Like, everyone just had a blast with this episode. You can see it.
It's like, there's what, 2 serious moments in this entire freaking episode?
And one of them is literally the very end of the episode.
It's the very beginning and the very end of it. And it's, nothing like, some of the more recent Christmas episodes we've seen. Nobody died.
Well, that's a writer thing. Is that a Sentai thing also?
No, but usually... so, using Go Busters, for example, usually with the Christmas episodes, you feel like there are actual stakes.
Oh, okay. I guess it must have been because, like, writer wanted to do a serious thing, so they're like, we can't do 2 serious ones, because usually it's like the Christmas ones for the writer ones are pretty like comedic, but the ones that happen near like New Year's or whatnot is like the ones where stuff goes down, or if you're X-Aid, you do both.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be easy to beat that X8 episode.
So basically, the main actual development in this episode was Umika is starting to warm up to Sakuya because he showed what a nice guy he was in this episode, and Keiichiro is kind of investigating the missing people that are being turned into disguises, and he realizes that 3 of those people are the Jiraiya 3's loved ones. So now he suspects that they're thieves again.
So I'm on the fence about this, okay? The cops have been given plenty of hints throughout this series as to who the thieves are. And this just is one of them. My problem is that this hint alone, by itself, as a random fact, doesn't indict them at all. And you have to really connect and still make some stretches to put everything together to definitely say that they are thieves. They tried doing this once with less information, and as far as they know, they were proven wrong. As far as I'm concerned, Keiichiro shouldn't be able to suspect them right now, without incredibly good reasoning that what the end of the episode gives us, he doesn't have.
The main thing was the flashback that they learned that Kairi dropped out of school, Umika dropped out of school, Toma quit his job, so all at the same time they went on and moved into Jiraiya, which is a huge coincidence. So that's really it, but yeah, I would agree. It's still kind of a stretch.
That is a very good reason to suspect them. It just feels like, yeah, you suspected him once already, though, and we're kind of proven wrong about it. Where are you going from here?
Here's my counterpoint to like what Decade said. It's like, well, yes, they made these big life-changing decisions when they lost their loved ones. How many of these thousands of people that have gone missing on that day made life-changing decisions? There had to have been at least more than those 3. The evidence that points to them is basically non-existent, beyond the fact of, oh shit, we're nearing the end of the show.
Like, I can forgive this if, like, the opening to the next episode, they actually take every single clue that they've been given and actually, like, look at it and put it together. Like, hey, remember that time Umika showed up in my dream even though she wasn't there? But Lupin Yellow happened to be there?
Right, like, they've been giving evidence, but it doesn't seem to be evidence that was shared. It was just more 1 or 2 experiences that popped up. Yeah, they all had the dream experience, but, you know, that I wouldn't expect them to share that.
Hey, remember all those times we coincidentally ran into the thieves at places we also coincidentally ran into Juror Crew?
That one I would accept.
Like, if they want to make those stretches, then they have something of an argument. But if they don't make those stretches, then what do they have?
Right. Like, there needs to be something beyond the, hey, we're gonna stake them out thing. Because they've already gone through the this is not them, so the credibility for them being them is already slim. Hilltop should go as soon as he brings up, well, no, what else evidence do you have? Because you already tried this with this shit once.
Like, and the argument that they made before was Tsukasa pointing out, hey, you know, the personality that thieves is reminiscent of them, I think we should investigate them. Here, the argument is, the juror crew are in, coincidentally, a situation that I believe that thieves are in, based on what Noelle has told me. But again, like that she said, how many other people could be in that situation? How many other people lost loved ones that they would want to get back?
Because if they don't do something like that, to me it's just going to look like they're just going, oh shit, we forgot how to actually wrap up this with them finding out who it is. Fuck, just write it in.
Like, it could be that we overhyped the reveal to ourselves because it's been a topic since episode 1, but
this is one of the things where this should be a massive deal and should have some thought added to it, considering that it's the main basis of this entire series.
like, this is the thing we've been waiting for, and we've been wondering when it's finally going to happen. Now that it's here, we're wondering, this is really how it's happening. Keiichiro's going off of even less of a hunch than Tsukasa had.
If they just kind of write this off to, yes, he just figures it out, I will accept it on one condition and one condition only.
What's
if
up?
Finally, for a Sentai series to go, shit, they awfully sound alike.
That's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen.
That's the only way that I will be able to accept some random bullshit of Keiichiro figuring it out on his own with no information.
I mean, to be fair, like, technically they could never do that because they could say, well, in the show we're watching, they sound like that, but in the actual universe, like, they could have, like,
Voice guys.
Yeah, so we don't know.
They actually have something like that. When they're not transformed, the thieves have their thief masks that have been revealed to have facial recognition deflectors.
Okay.
So
that's
it-
cool.
Yeah, so basically, no, you can't really identify them underneath the mask, even though it only covers a fifth of their face.
And also, apparently, they're magic, so they don't fall off.
Well, I mean, it's Sentai, of course. The best.
The wonderful magic known as glue.
Oh my god. Ah, that would suck if you actually had to peel that off. It's like one of those things where it's like, if you wear like the mask, like the arrow mask and whatnot, and then you have to actually put on like all the black mascara and shit, or like eyeshadow around your eyes. So whenever you see them doing like Facebook chats or whatever, and they haven't had time to like take the full makeup off, it looks like they've got like raccoon eyes like all the time. It's so weird. But yeah, it's tokusatsu magic. Like, if we actually acknowledge that you have to do things like take off masks and they don't fall, then you'd have to acknowledge crazy shit like, hey, where did those weapons come from? Like, why are you just carrying around all these other widgets? I mean, I know there's more of a writer problem, like a really bad writer problem, especially because they go like, oh yeah,
swords.
this teleporting swords. Yeah, I was gonna say it's like they give the things of, oh, this is where you attach the extra accessories, but like you always pull out more than you have. Right, but yeah,
Right?
you're right. Teleporting swords is the worst. Like, at least in Agito, it just comes out of the belt, right?
Forza is my favorite example of this. He's literally carrying around upwards of 40 switches on him at any given time in the second half of the series.
And he has
Oh, that's-
no sense of pockets or anything. He's in a skin-tight suit, and he always reaches behind him to pull them out.
That
It's
sucks.
disturbing.
I know. At least when Double did it, it shows that he has the space for the 6.
Yeah, like Double has like little side containers for the 6 small flash drives. Not these hunking hand-sized switches,
I
and
think,
not
like,
40 of them.
yeah, I think like Forza just gets hit the worst for being an anniversary show because like you can go with like, oh, well, O's Ankh has the like book thing, and like Wizard, it's
And
like,
if
yeah,
he
yeah,
didn't, he still holds them inside his own body.
yeah, exactly, and like Wizard, like he has the ring holders on his belt, and like even if he runs out of space, he has a ring that allows him to freaking like teleport or like connect.
Yeah,
different
connect. Literally
parts of-
called connector.
Right.
You just reach his hand in and pull out a donut.
X8 kind of gets annoying because they just pull it out of nowhere, but like I don't know. I'm just thinking it's just part
I'm
of the
willing to
belt.
believe that like the finisher slots that they just store them in those.
See,
Yeah.
I can even give a further pass for that. It's Game World. Who's to say they can't teleport him in?
That's what I was thinking too. It's
You know,
like it's just
controller.
built into
Oh yeah,
the-
things
the
do
point-
tend. The rules change a bit.
The point where X8 fucks up with that is the massive ass fucking belt that these doctors pull out of
Oh
nowhere.
yeah. I know.
Him
we
and
should-
Fours, because at least other ones made sense. You get
I mean,
Fize where it's always
build-
Fize is always in a
build-
box.
Yeah. Build, he just literally whips it out of the phone if he has to.
Wizard just wears his all the time. It's very like flat.
I know, I wish they would have just continued with that. It's like just give them all normal belts.
Or
that
even
can like
or even
that
something
just-
like doubles. Where it was
it
was-
just appears.
well no, he always pulled it out of his
Oh.
jacket pocket, out of the inside of his coat. Because it was
Yeah.
small enough that he could do that.
Not everyone
Yeah.
can pull off a leather jacket.
Well, that's not even the problem. It's like if the belts were smaller, it would work. Or you can do the drive thing, or like not drive. Kuga, Kuga, Agito, and Ghost, where it's like it's in their bodies. It just shows up whenever you need it. Right? Because like the thing is, we haven't had a storyline in a while where it's like, oh no, the belts. Right? Somebody stole the belts or the belts are gone. It's like it's always there. So like just stick it in their bodies.
We've also been getting a lot more. Yeah, once you use the belt, only you can use that belt.
Right. That would make so much more sense. I mean Sentai tends to have this problem a lot less because it's like they have morphers and stuff and it's like okay once they
Most of them
get
just
into-
strapped to your wrist.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like it's either a phone or it's strapped to your wrist and then once they fully hinge in their equipment on them.
Like the most out there one was PatoRanger, where they carried literal guns around.
And it made them dance, and that was never explained.
It was the rhythm of the earth.
Right, but
So-
the entire explanation is it's a rhythm of the earth. Just go with it.
Just
Which they do. Once they start embracing it, they get a little creative.
That's cool. I mean, we'll see how the next one does it because it's basically Kyujo 2.0.
Oh, it's PatoRanger 3. 2 was some Korean series.
Oh,
Which actually is pretty good.
God.
Just pointing that out
Oh
there.
shit.
Brave
That is a good point.
I have been waiting like a month to say that, by the way.
Oh wow, I actually did almost forget about that.
Brave
Yeah,
was
I
a
did hear
decent.
that was cool.
Brave was a decent sequel.
I
Even
still
if it
haven't
was
watched
short.
it yet. Like I keep forgetting to do it.
I think the coolest thing that I've seen from that is one, they have like their coats, which are pretty awesome. And then two, it's like gold and yellow and gold, right? Being twins.
Yeah.
That's fucking genius. Like, I wish somebody else would have used that, but I'm like, at least one show did it. Anyway, Decade, you've been quiet. Any thoughts on any of this or the episode?
No, it was pretty self-explanatory Sentai episode, so maybe we should move on to Rider.
Yeah, I think I said all I need to about Sentai.
Alright. Now we have Kamen Rider Zeo. Fairly standard, straightforward episode. Starts off with Sugo getting wrecked by future Sugo. Comes back and basically decides to give up on being king. At which point he has Gates destroy his belt. Swartz takes the opportunity with Gates and Tsukiyomi at this point deciding to go back home to take the Terminator Future Bot and reprogram it to kill Sugo anyways, because if you're gonna be, if you're
Just in case.
which is a very smart plan.
Honestly, a lot of Sentai villains don't think that far ahead.
Well, Sugo begins getting attacked, and Waj just shows up with another belt. Sugo continues to, I'm not gonna be king, I'm not gonna be king, I'm not gonna be king. Gates and Tsukiyomi return because they see that he's getting his ass kicked. Gates transforms, gets his ass kicked. Sugo, Waz continues to tempt him. He keeps saying no, but at the same time he continues to attempt to fight, or at least be a target to protect a kid. Gates end up getting
I think you skipped over the part where he like blows his own belt up. That stuff's
that was
right?
that was the beginning of it. He had Gates destroy the belt.
Yeah, that was
Which I want to touch on that real quick. That was a great moment. That was completely undermined real quickly.
I know.
In my
it should have
opinion.
gone at least one episode. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Have him actually see the effects of him choosing not to become a rider.
Because like the whole point of this was for him to not be a Demon King, and if he doesn't have the belt, cool. I get Waz future time man. This was an inevitability of Waz showing up with the belt.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it could have been done later.
yeah, exactly. And at least the show had guts to show the writers, like, yeah, you know what? This is a dumbass plan. I'm gonna get rid of it. Yeah, I wish it would have lasted an episode, but it's like, whatever. We don't have time, I guess. Or maybe they're like thinking it's gonna be so inevitable that the writer show is gonna get his belt anyway. I might as well do it the same episode.
Probably.
Yeah.
Keep selling toys.
Yeah, fuck. At first, when Wash shows up with the new belt, I'm like, okay, is it just the same belt except you put more black on the sides?
It's pretty much just the same belt.
Yeah, then I'm like, no, it's just the same belt. I was hoping for like, oh, Wash shows up and we're getting a Kabuto like head gem situation thing. Where it's like, oh yeah, this is the new belt, but it has like a secret thing built in because this is Waz's one. But that didn't happen.
See,
Or
like
at least I don't think that's what's happening.
that's what I was
It's
expecting.
not. Waz has a unique belt.
Like that's what I was expecting, considering the fact that future Sugo basically told him, "You're gonna get a power up soon." So that's what I expected. Once he blew up the belt, I was expecting it to be.
That's clever too. Yeah, I was thinking it's gonna be the Kabuto mind control thing where it's like Waz is like, okay, I've had it with your shit. Now you're gonna do what I say or else. But yeah, the power up thing makes way more sense. But I mean, to be fair, like getting the belt back in one episode is pretty cheap. Having it fucking be a power up on top of just getting it back, I think would have felt even cheaper.
Right.
But you're right, it might have made more sense.
Well, through all this, Decade's kind of pouting because Sugo gave up being king because that ruins his plan. Thank you for
What plan?
Yeah, we have no idea what his plan is, but thank you for tuning in to Kamen Rider Decade for 5 minutes. Sorry, that was a bad joke.
No, pretty good.
So,
I mean, we can all like give our thoughts of what we think his plan would be. Yeah, go ahead.
well, see, I don't,
Go ahead.
I don't believe that we've seen what his plan is yet. I feel it involves him, Sugo, getting further along into being Omazeo before his plan comes to fruition. I don't see it being something. Oh, I just want you to be king, because he was already doing that. And
I'm just hoping it's not tied into the movie.
That too. I don't want to have to wait, 6 months before I can watch that.
Anyway, any theories, Rye, or Decade?
I have no clue. Decade's a mystery. doing
I
his own
mean,
thing.
it could be that he is trying to help push Sogo into actually becoming a benign king by, and like one of his methods showing him like, hey, this is what you fucked up. You did this.
Hey, Sugo, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so
No. Even better. Hey, Isugo, don't be a dick. Oh, it's fine. I'm just gonna not be a dick. It's like, are you even doing anything different? No. Here, go see the future, asshole. See what you're not doing anything does. Yeah. So I think like him whole like my thing. The only thing I can think of is like him seeing Sugo being like, "Oh yeah, I'm cool. I'll just be a nice guy, evil overlord," and him going like, "Are you serious, kid? Like, should I whack you upside the head right now?" Um, but it's like, that's no fun. Here, go see the future. And then he comes back and it's like, okay, no, I have to change for reals now. And then like beating up Gates because like one, Gates is fucking pouty and like wishy-washy. And two, it's like, all right, kid, I told you to go kick Sugo's ass. You clearly can't do it. So next best thing is like you guys actually have to be a team now. So I'm gonna kick your ass so Sugo comes and saves you.
Yeah, that's kind of what I liked about Gates in this episode is he finally came up with the decision he's going to trust freaking Sogo to be Zio and change the future, which is good because based on the preview, we've got more writers to develop, expose. So yeah, hopefully, Gaze is still important, but we'll see.
And if it's not, we don't have to worry about it too long. With the new guys showing up.
Well, Sugo's belt being a power-up unfortunately gets kind of nulled with how things play out. So Gates ends up getting his ass kicked. And basically he ends up with deciding, you know what, I need to save his Sugo's ass. So Sugo gets Gates' belt, transforms, blah blah blah, and then Sugo ends up with what would have been Sugo's new belt, effectively killing any chance of that being a power-up.
But if he's now using a belt that came from the future, then he needs to get a new belt, or else the timelines are gonna come in and be like, this is all fucky.
I don't know, man.
At what point
I know
this
what
show has anything not been fucky?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say, right? Like his whole thing of like, oh, I no longer need this belt. Here, blow it up. Shouldn't like, as soon as that belt exploded, shouldn't like Tsukiyomi and Gates like, disintegrate it out of existence?
No.
But, no, because there's no reason for them to come back if they didn't come to kill the Demon King, and the Demon King never gets made if Sogo gave up the belt. Right?
So what's happening is they're creating a new timeline.
No, I know what's happening, but like your whole thing of like, oh no, it's important that the future belt, and whatnot, is important. You know what I'm saying? Like the show doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I know. This isn't like a Forza movie situation where it's like, yo, I blew up my belt, so go rob the belt from my self in the past to use it. Like we're not getting a Forza Wizard movie situation here. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank God. Because I'm like, that sounds super
He blew up his belt to encourage another student to be a hero.
I know, and then he jumps back in time and basically jumps himself and jacks his own belt. Well, I mean, technically he borrows it, but it just seems like it.
He returns it at the end before he goes back to the future.
It's true. Yeah, it was interesting. Like Gates, I think, and Sogo's dynamic is probably the best in this episode. because they actually started acting like people who should fucking be in a writer show and get along and realize like how much actual danger they're in.
See,
You know?
my issue with that is, well, yes, it's been what this series is leading to. Because come on, it's fucking Ryder. This ended up being too quick of a change. Because he spent the entire up until this point going, "Fuck you, I'm gonna kill you." And then it was more of him putting on the front to do it for the last, what, 2 episodes, which seemed really unnatural.
Yeah, I mean, especially since last episode, I think this made a little sense because he decided to give him. So I think that was like foreshadowing that like Sogo's growing on him, so he would never actually do it.
Right.
So they're it was foreshadowing their somewhat friendship thing going on, but you're right, it seemed a little quick. But that's like the thing is, it made sense in this episode. The problem is like it didn't make sense leading up to this episode.
Right. Everything leading up to it doesn't make sense. How it played out in this episode, perfect. I feel it was just this. Basically, this episode took place at the wrong spot. Is my opinion. Well, or Wool or whatever the hell he's called now by TV Nihon, the Time Jacker and the female.
I'm still calling him
Shows up and basically start wrecking shit in their stolen rider mounts. I don't know what else to call them.
The knockoff Megazords, man, those things annoy me so much. Because like whenever they show up, they're like, okay, this is just padding. This means nothing. And then they jump into, I guess, the morphing grid or whatever. And then then they bring out like previous rider monsters. And I'm like, no, don't kill the iguana, you fuckers. Like, it was cool. It doesn't deserve this. And so I'm feeling really bad for like the previous like riders' equipment getting blown up. But I'm like, okay, technically we have to kick their ass. But I'm like, you guys don't even need to be in this episode. Fuck off.
That was completely unnecessary at all.
Honestly, the real fight was happening 10 feet away.
Yeah. Because to basically solve this problem, Sugo uses his decayed power-up and then uses his Xaid, which basically is the one that creates 2 of them.
And now I'm sure that this was mentioned already, but these are not the final forms.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, it keeps saying final form, but like you keep getting
But
like
it's
mid-season
not.
to like even like Ghost. I'm like,
These are the mid-season power-ups.
well, mid-season or like 3/4
Whoa.
power, because like the Ghost one got pulled out. And I'm like, oh yeah, that seems. I'm like,
For
wait, no,
early,
that's
they
not
say they're mid-season, but
yeah, no, I mean like oh, you're right. No, my bad. You're right. These are mid-season power-ups. Because I'm like thinking, oh no, that's like Ko's final form, but I'm like, no, that's the really nice one, but that's not the final form.
like for recent Heisei, they're the start of the second arc power-ups. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's annoying that it keeps saying final form.
Yeah.
But using the X8 one was fun.
like it was clever and a good use of it, because basically Gates and one of the Sugos goes and fights Castle Duran and the ghost iguana that barely ever got used. Which to me that part was dumb to make that an evil mech, because again, it barely got used. Castle Duran makes sense. It was used in every fucking episode, even if all it did was eat a soul.
Yeah, but that's its job. I mean, the more annoying thing with that is like, yeah, the main writers are fighting a non-interesting fight. And like the one that's actually important to the story happens pretty much off screen. And then even worse than that is like Decade using fucking like wizard form. Like, no! First you're using it wrong. And 2, you're turning it into a bad guy. I'm like, fuck you, man. I like that writer. That annoyed me so much. Especially when he's using bind and it's water bind. I'm like, no, you're not even in water form, you dipshit. Like,
Also,
you shouldn't even be able to do that. Yeah, go ahead.
the part that disappointed me about that was Final Attack Wizard.
It was just
Like,
big.
It was just big. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't any of Wizard's actual finishers. Not a single one. It was just an ability Wizard uses. Not even that much.
I know, right? Like the show like disregards wizard stuff so much. It's so especially seeing the suit, I'm like, okay, first, like wizard technically would be able to handle two guys. Secondly, you're using his abilities wrong, and thirdly, like the finishers are wrong. So it's like the more you know, the more wrong it seems. You know?
Like the worst part is that
it's a
the
good
closer
thing
the closer they are to getting it right, the more the flaws stand out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's a good thing Decade was using it because this is pretty much what happens in his show. You know?
It's his own take on those riders because he's not those riders.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay, I can let it pass because it's not the real guy. And like Decade constantly has this ability of like doing whatever the fuck he wants with rider forms. So I kind of let it pass, but I'm like, like it like this episode's really good. It's just it's got a lot of nitpicks. Anyway, Decade, your thoughts on this fight?
So we have an insert song that I'm 90% sure is Soga's actor singing, so it's alright. It's a bit Sentai-ish, so I don't know. It's better than nothing though. Maybe the other writers will get to sing and it'll be better, but yeah, it's a decent fight. The mech things I would be fine with if it was like every other episode, but it is starting to get pretty bland. Oh well. Seeing Decade be a villain is fun. But
Yeah,
him using the
that was
ghost
fun.
is the best.
Like this comes down to a problem that I think it might be King who brought this up before, which is that these fights don't feel like they matter half the time, and that is especially true for the mech fights. I don't feel like even if the villains won that mech fight that anything would change because the important fight is happening somewhere else.
Oh, I completely agree. It's like, because you get these fights and then you get oh, well, we're going to fight this guy now in 2018, but it's pointless because dude has to be destroyed back then.
You know what this
With
is? I mean, like,
that rider watch.
yeah, this is Rider Depth tends to have this like, okay, you gotta have 2 fights an episode problem, but this is like the Sentai 2 fights an episode problem of like, okay, the monster is not even giant, it doesn't even matter what you do here. You know, except in this case, it's like, oh no, the mechs have shown up. Fuck this. None of the mech shit is gonna matter.
Sentai has the solution of whatever problem the monster was causing goes away when they're defeated the first time, and then them coming back giant is just that extra annoyance of, alright, fine.
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting point. I hadn't picked up on that. That kind of makes sense. So actually, the Sentai fights are more useful than anything that happened in the show, right? Because like either they go back in time, which doesn't matter, or I mean, no, the back in time matters. The forward in time doesn't matter, and the mech fights don't matter. Why are they even in this damn thing? All right, I mean, I can maybe kind of see why today's episode's one was in it because it's all CGI, so they don't. Plus, they're doing it in the weird like time stream thing, so they don't even have to use real locations, so it's easier. You know, they just like pre-do the scene and then just slot it in the episode for time purposes. I guess, but I'm like, why? You know, it's like it's a writer show. Like it's a time travel writer show. Like, was Deno this bad?
No.
Yeah, that's what I was
Deno, so So I've explained to you Den-O before, but I'm going to recap it again. What happens in Den-O is that history is built around memories. So the Imagine make a contract with someone, and that part of that contract is that they get to go back in time through that person's memories. And they can wreck all they want to try and change the future. And then Den-O comes in, stops them, and because his memories are unaffected by changes of history, he can effectively reset it just by defeating the monster. He can, however, also change things himself, and he'll do little things to, like, because all the people that are targeted have some sort of big regret in the past. When he's in the past, he'll try to do something to help them, such as, oh man, this person regrets not visiting his mother on Christmas, and then she passed away in the hospital. So when he's in the past and the monster is defeated, he hunts that person down in the past and goes, "Oh, you need to get to the hospital right fucking now."
Yeah, that actually sounds much better use of the time travel.
The mother still passes away. Nothing ultimately changes except that person no longer has the regret of not being with his mother when she died.
Basically, his outlook changes, and that's about it.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I mean, it sounds similar to sort of like the Gates thing in Wizard, where it's like, oh, this thing will make you despair, you know? So, like, find what they want. So basically, it's very person sensitive, and sometimes people can, because they're like, yeah, okay, it doesn't actually mean that I can live through this. Whereas like Den-O is like, no, I'm gonna help this guy, which is cool. But again, like, Sogo doesn't do anything. I mean, I don't want to be down on this because like this is a good episode, but like, yeah, again, like generally the fights don't mean anything, which is kind of sad.
Sogo does one thing where he makes sure that a kid gets a life-saving surgery before it's too late, and make sure that another person confesses his feelings for someone who ultimately isn't going to love him anyways, but at least he'll have gotten that off his chest.
Right, I don't... Weird. I guess I missed those two episodes.
One of them was they were the X8 and the Wizard episodes, actually. Yeah. Which is funny enough because that solution to the Wizard episode felt more like a Den-O episode thing. Like, hey, let's toss away your regret.
And then you have the Ghost episode where it's, no, we're just gonna make sure this person doesn't die.
Yeah, which fucking cop-out, because Takeru has magic powers. I was like, okay, this is the best time to have like a writer moment of like, shit's gonna happen, you just gonna have to deal with it. But it's like, nope, Takeru has magic. It's cool. The actual magic guys don't have magic, but Takeru fucking has magic. Whatever. I mean, I guess that was a happy ending, but that should have been a fucking dilemma, and we sidestepped it with this BS. Like if Takeru if he had his powers and he could use it, I'm like, okay, fine. But he doesn't. He's just some dude with magic powers.
My point to that was, at the beginning of Ghost, they did point out that he could see spirits and interact with them and stuff like that. So to me, I feel they just built off that to where he could do his little shriny shit.
Yeah, except in the episode of Zio, they go like, oh no, I've only started seeing ghosts since I got this fucking watch like yesterday or something. Right? So like he had the powers before he could see ghosts. So or are we like going like, oh no, yeah, I got this watch and now I can fucking lasers from my hand pretty much. And you learned this in one day, Takeru? Like, that's even more nonsense. But yeah, I guess I get what you're saying. Is like it's implied that he had like psychic or like supernatural abilities beforehand. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of implied. I don't think they actually say any of that. Because like until he gets his powers in the show, he can't really do anything. right? Like his dad could do it, right? Because he was fighting Ganma before he had any writer shit. But like Takeru never had any of that in the show, but his dad did. So maybe that's why they're getting that.
I will say though that Ghost episode kind of solves the problem of the having to have 2 fights per episode, because seeing actual Ghost partake in a fight that felt like it mattered, the main villain still needed to be defeated so that Zio could come in and do that, was my favorite moment in that whole thing. Like, I didn't even watch Ghost, but I was just really happy to see the original veteran rider going at it again in a situation where it's actually hopeless for them because of everything that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good moment. The problem is like what you just said is like literally like 3 or 4 fights in Ghost. So like the movie, the X8 Ghost movie, literally the same thing. Oh no, my powers are gone. What do I do? And right, like that's the one of the problems of Ghost. Like it's always relatively well done. It's always like, how many times do we have to do this, man?
Well,
Like
and then,
how many times do you gotta come back?
and then you get the, oh shit, I'm dead again.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, he's like a fucking save point.
Well, then it was a good thing he was in the X8 movie.
I know.
Oh.
No. Even going with the save point thing, the whole thing of like Sogo is like, oh, he gets the belt and it's like, oh, with determination. I'm like, oh, okay. Guess we've seen Undertale. You must finally have reached the save point, Sogo. Now the story's actually getting good. Do you know what the hell I'm talking about? No? Yes?
No.
No,
Wait.
okay. In Undertale, when you get to a save point,
Oh!
instead of saying it's saved, it says you're filled with determination.
Yeah, you're filled with determination.
And then Soga's whole thing is like, oh, I got the new belt. I'm filled with determination. I'm like, oh, I guess you finally hit a save point, bro. The story's finally gonna get interesting.
Which, based on the episode, is the case.
Yeah, it's true.
That's really what I'm kind of taking away. Like, X8 was kind of done with the crazy toy rush around Christmas time. This show
that's
is
just how it
X8.
is.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. But I'm just
They
saying.
need to get his out for Christmas, and then, alright, now you can tell your story.
Yeah, I'm liking that we're at least staying on track, even despite all the bumps in the road. Hopefully,
See,
kind of get smoothed out from here on out.
though the problem...
And due to the theme of the show, they can justify getting out new toys and having it make sense in story
Right.
build.
Plus side is, at least with this, you don't have to go the X8 route of, hey, it's Christmas, our toy rush is done, let's kill someone. So that was nice, because this would technically, for lack of better terms, be the Christmas episode. At which point, nobody in this episode, touched on the fact that it was Christmas at all. Which was
until the end.
odd. Well, but it was kind of odd that it wasn't a focal point the way it usually is.
Yeah, you're right. It was weird. I mean, to be fair, I'm kind of not the like biggest fan of like Christmas stuff in shows, because like it either tends to be really cheesy or it just tends to be set dressing, unless you're batshit insane like that Sentai episode. But that's but that tends to be a lot less likely in writing, unless you're a wizard, in which case Santa gives you a freebie on letting him use his ring to reset destroyed presents. So
Yeah, because usually you just have to kill somebody on Christmas.
I mean, considering the next episode is Kabuto, it's a good lead.
I'll touch on the end of the episode and then.
I don't remember Kabuto's Christmas episode.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. So sword. Yeah, that's when his
Yeah.
story ends.
Oh God.
I haven't gotten to that point. That's still a series I need to finish. Because that series gave me headaches.
Like when it gets into the final arc, it doesn't clean up its mess, but it gives you some feels to go off of.
Okay, you mean final arc or the set? Because the final arc is like Kabuto, we've decided to reset. In which case, I'm going to punch you, Tendo, you piece of shit. Like, you've literally reset. But like everything before the last couple episodes, it gels together really well for the most part.
Well, they end up, fighting off Decade, and I use that term loosely. He just kind of goes, "Fuck it, I'm out."
He just kind of goes, "Yeah, all right, that's enough for today. That should sell some toys."
And then
That's Decade's ultimate plan. Decade's only on here to sell more toys.
Oh
That's
my
why he
God.
needs Logo.
Fuck's sakes, instead of being the leader of Shocker, is he like the leader of Toei marketing now?
Why not?
Why not? Is that why
When
we're
in
getting the...
every world he goes to, he has some kind of profession.
Oh my god, you're
Please let him be in the well, we know he is in the movie, but please let him be the head of Toei.
Oh god, I was gonna say your .5 episode with him being there, but no, that's much better. Him being the head of Toei.
And not even as because the premise of it is Ryder doesn't really exist. It's a TV show. It's real world.
Hey, technically fucking Taiga works at Toei and he recruited Ishinomori. So Decade could show up.
Right. Well, but Decade always goes to an alternate world anyways. That's always
Yes.
been his thing. So what's to say he can't end up in the real world?
Well, I mean, it looks like fucking Deno did, so why not?
Well, real quick, I'm going to touch on the final scene, which is Woz reading from his book about things being back on track. And then it cuts to a black silhouette with green glowing things, and it is the newest writer to be introduced. Kamen Rider Woz.
Kamen Rider was.
Yeah.
Which, based on the preview, is not the same Woz we have.
Yeah, that's what threw me for a loop there. Like, wait, this is a loss from a different timeline, possibly the one being created right now, where he's unhappy with how things are going, and so he's coming back again.
Yeah, I was actually thinking what happened is they reset the timeline because you see it reset, and like King Sogo shows up, right? But you see, with the angle it's shot, you see he has a figure behind him now. So I'm like, oh, okay, so now he has like an advisor or something. And then it cuts to like Woz coming back. I'm like, all right, so is this Woz that is like he's like normal Woz, except he's had it with Sogo's shit and he's come back to fix the timeline, or is it the original Woz, or like some other Woz who's decided to come back, like, fucking... So basically we're having like a Cell and Future Trunks thing going on.
This is literally Dragon Ball Z's second arc.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. In Z. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, not the second,
Specifically,
but third.
this is
arc?
the Cell Saga.
Yeah, Cell Saga. So that's like fourth arc, but whatever. The point
You
is,
got
yeah,
the
Cell Saga.
androids, you got your Trunks, you got...
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like, I'm actually amazed we haven't had like one of the writers being some weird robot dude, like Chaser. That would have been cool, but who knows?
We have a fourth rider coming.
Yeah, I know. I saw him, but
It's Star Ninja. He's going to be a ninja rider.
oh, that's cool too. He looks so awesome. Yeah, I felt like well, I mean, we had the treasure sniper, so I guess we need a ninja now. Yeah, I feel like what's happening is like maybe this is like Waz from alternate timeline, and this like Sogo sees this guy, like the Waz we know originally probably in the original timeline didn't come back, and maybe it was this guy who came back. And like Sogo saw him, saw, oh, he's this like clever guy from the future. And then when he took over, he decided to recruit his version of Waz, and that guy got sent back.
Okay, so you think this is the original Waz that came back in time, in the
Yeah.
original timeline, to help Sogo become the Demon King?
Yeah. Well, no, not to become the Demon King, to do his own thing, but like the original demon, like Amazio saw that guy, saw he had potential, and like when he took over, he decided, I'm just gonna recruit that guy instead of having to fight him, and that became our Waz.
I think it's the opposite. I think that this is a Waz from a new timeline that's being created, and he's unhappy with it, and he's coming back to change history even more
Yeah, I
because
think
something went wrong.
yeah, I think you're right, but like it would have been more interesting if it was more of like a closed timeline, where it's like, oh yeah, we've been interacting with this guy, but like in the original timeline, that guy didn't show up till much later. But yeah, I think what you said is right. Is like this guy is just from a timeline that just got created.
So,
Like,
go ahead, Ray.
I'm gonna compare this to something that happens in Deno by accident, which is that the girl of the show, Hana, she's from the future, and her timeline, her future doesn't exist anymore, and she is pulled out because she's one of those special people where his changes to history don't affect them. So she comes back to the past to support Deno in protecting the future. And we get to a certain point in the show where the master of the time train is saying, like, well, the future that's being determined is coming up. Let's see what happens. And then Hana, her actress, due to being like overworked and passing out on set, is forced to retire as an actress. So what they did is they replaced her with a younger actress, saying like, "Oh, hey, she's younger now because of changes in history." Well, you find out later that the big change to history was that her parents didn't get together when they were supposed to. So her actually aging down into a younger version of herself made sense because she was born at a later date, but the time period that she was pulled from didn't change. So she would be a younger age in that year.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good workaround and pretty clever. Then again, that seems like somebody using the timeline shit properly, as opposed to this where it's like, okay, yeah, we have time travel, we can do whatever. It's like pretty much the Flash, or actually more like Legends of Tomorrow, but whenever Reverse Flash shows up in the Flash. It's like, okay, yeah, we just really wanted this character to come back. Who cares how it actually happened? Yeah, anyway. So new writer dude person suit. What did you think? I actually really liked the way his eyes light up. Like, I hope that's not CG or whatever, because that was fucking awesome.
I think it's cool, but it just looks a bit too much like Necrom from Ghost. So
I think
Yeah.
I don't think
it's
I'll get over
supposed
that.
to. I think it's supposed to be the callback suit because all of these like transformations, they're not the ride watches that Sogo and Gaze do. They're like themes of rider styles. Like he has a ninja form.
No, isn't that a different guy?
That's a
No,
different.
he also has a ninja form.
What the heck? Oh, I guess you've already looked at the scans and stuff.
Yeah,
Okay. So I guess
unless I got it mixed up, but
no, it's fine. I guess we're just gonna go. Shit, how many years of ninja have we had? Let's see. It was in Coast. It was in
The
Blade, it was
Showa
in
era
Bill.
had a Ninja Rider.
No, well, he had a movie, but
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
he counts.
Yeah, he does count. No, I mean like continuously. Like I think Coast started it because like there's going on Icon and then like X had like the ninja dudes in the movie, and like Build has like Ninja Kamen or comic or whatever. So that's 3, and then
XA True Ending had a Ninja Rider.
yeah, in the movies. So yeah, I guess we're just running with the ninja theme, which is cool because the suit looks nice. It's just weird that we're having like, oh yeah, what's my callback? It's a theme. I'm like, that's actually a much cooler version of doing it than just borrowing old writer powers because I'm sick of that shit. So just borrowing their style sounds much better. I mean, we'll see how it's executed. Anyway, any thoughts on Was or whatever? Bashi, Decade?
Honestly, aside from him looking at like Necrom, I do like the idea of his powers rather than it being like everybody else's in the series. I'm kind of glad that at least with one character they're getting away from, hey, let's do Decade again.
I'm just wondering what Star Ninja is doing because, I mean, his character was pretty obnoxious in Ninja, but his actor is super good and was really into the role. So,
wait, his actor is playing him?
Yeah, the Star Ninja's actor. See him for a split second in the trailer.
Oh, cool. I was like, oh yeah, let's get the next crossover with the ninjas, but I'm like, that's like the equivalent of saying, oh yeah, let's get the next crossover with all the cop characters. And that didn't happen. We only got like 3 of the cop characters. Fuck. Wasn't that even a V cinema? So that's even worse. Whatever. Anyway, good episode. Final thoughts?
Yeah, I liked it. Looking forward to next week. Hopefully it'll be better.
Yeah, we kind of tore this episode apart because when you do stop and think about these episodes, they don't make sense. But overall, when you're just sitting down and watching them, I was having a good time. Like, this show has some faults to it, but ever since Decade joined the cast, like, it's gone a lot better.
Like that's been my thing, is like, because you can listen to any of our podcasts for this, and it's pretty much us ripping the show basically from a time travel standpoint and unlikable characters. But like I said, since Decade has shown up, I've been looking forward to watching this show. Mainly because there for a couple of episodes, this wasn't Zeo, this was fucking Kamen Rider Decade. Don't care what anybody.
Yeah,
I don't care what
much.
anybody says. And I do like the fact of watching Sugo fight Decade, because it is, to me, it's literally the, because I posted it to one of my group chats for this, is it's the meme picture of the 3 Spider-Man standing there all pointing at each other. That's what these fights are between Decade and Sugo.
Sugo?
Because it's literally, I'm going to use this form, and Decade goes, okay, so will I.
Oh, we're using Wizard today? Cool.
I know.
Kamen Rider!
That's great.
I do have one small nitpick with this.
Go ahead.
Did they change the fucking voice for that belt?
I don't remember.
I didn't notice.
I noticed it back when he used, Decade used Ryuki.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't say Ryuki. It sounded like he said Ryuk.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
pronounced
the Ryuki one was
way differently. And they've done that with a few of them.
I wonder. I mean, like, No, it's kind of hard to figure out actually, unless somebody could read the
Alright,
credits. Yeah, so it's gonna be hard to look up. Maybe we'll see.
I will look into it.
Like,
But first, I decided to fact check my claim on was. If you guys want to hear it, it's some spoilers though.
Okay, wait. Spoiler warning, people. We've pretty much done the podcast, so you can stop now if you don't want to be spoiled. Stop now. 3, 2, 1. Now entering spoiler zone. You've been warned.
Okay, so I was wrong about him having forms based off of themes. His forms are based off of future riders we haven't seen yet, one of which is that Shinobi rider. He has a form based off that guy.
so basically, Kamen Rider Waz is Kamen Rider. We're gonna make shit up.
No, I was gonna be like Kamen Rider Waz is Decade 3.0.
It's the decade of the future.
It's even worse. It's not even real Decade of the Future because we're not gonna get the future later. So it's Decade of the Future. So it's an alternate version of a third version of Decade. Because it's not using real future riders, it's using made up fake riders.
It's using future riders made up for this show that we may or may not actually see in the show.
I know, it's the worst. Fucking hell, Toei.
See, for all of this shit that they've set up for,
like, we could have gotten new Kiva, new Dano, Aqua,
Future Drive, Aqua. So many fucking characters.
It's like, but God. No, they decided we're just gonna make up riders. Because why the fuck not?
Hell,
the worst part is they have the suits. Why not just use them?
With Agito's ending, there could be a hypothetical future Agito that they could have pulled on us.
That's true. Yeah, and like the Zectors are originally from the future, so you could have
some of them.
Yeah, exactly. Damn it, that would have been cool, Toei.
I will admit I do not like the look of his Shinobi.
Anyway, I mean, if we're in Spoilerville, holy shit, the previews for that movie look fucking amazing. Like, it finally looks like a goddamn... Okay, we've had good Rider movies the past couple ones, but holy shit, this one looks like we're actually doing proper fan service.
Unless you count Kuga.
I mean...
Giant fucking disgrace of a CG monster.
Yeah, but... I know, that was hideous. At first, I'm like, oh, there's Double. And it's like, oh, he looks weird. I'm like, oh, is that like the Double monster form? It's like, no, that's just the Rider form. I'm like, ah, fuck. At first, I'm like, all right, Kuga's getting the weird CGI monster thing. But I'm like, all right, maybe we're doing that weird thing of like, there was this alternate future comic where it's like Shocker took over. But then basically at the end, it just cuts to... well, even with Shocker taking over and them everything, they still just created an underclass of monsters. So like the monsters rebelled against Shocker, and like you just had like monster version of Rider 1, 2, and V3.
Sounds like this show, actually.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So maybe we're throwing to that idea because lately in the movies we've been referencing pure shit from like the manga and stuff. But I guess not. Yeah, you're right. That CGI monster is the fucking worst. Yeah.
At least the Kuga armor is going to look good.
Like,
let's hope.
I could let the Kuga monster pass if it didn't look like shit.
Yeah, honestly. Like,
it's true.
Aside from color, there is nothing Kuga about that monster.
Like, Kuga was the one to go all out on. Kuga was supposed to just be a one-off project of, hey, remember when we made this show? And then it sparked the revolution of, hey, let's keep going.
You know what the weirdest part is? Reading that, like, producer like interview that just came out, and him talking about like, yeah, the real writer show that really kickstarted everything is Ryuki, and we're like, what the fuck, Ryuki?
Wait, really? That's
I know,
awesome.
I know, because he's like, yeah, Ryuki was super popular, and they're
Of
like,
course.
yeah, Kuga was kind of a thing, and then we made like Agito as a follow up. But then this is the weirdest mindset, but like I kind of explains why like they thought Kuga and Ryuki was more of a success, is because like they kept thinking like, oh no, we're just doing the old storylines from the show. I'm like, where the fuck are you getting that? Oh no, the old fans would just complain to us and say they could see everything coming. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like Kuga and Agito are nothing like the show era. Right? So I guess in their mindset, it's like, oh, we have to do something different.
You have to really we have to really blow them out of the water with this next one.
It's not even the blow them out of the water. It's like, you know, like after Yuki, Ryder kind of had the thing of like, okay, there is no status quo. Every year is different. It's because of that. Because they had this mentality of like, no, we have to do something different from Showa.
Okay, we need to do something game changing. And they gave us Ryuki, which had all those evil riders, including Kamen Rider Oja.
Yeah, and they pretty much said like after Ryuki, they kind of like, okay, yeah, now we can kind of do anything.
And they did Feist.
Yeah, and then no, what I meant is like then he said like until Decade. I was like, oh yeah, that's what happens when you think you can do anything, and it doesn't work. You know,
and then
so I'm like, yeah, it's weird, man.
And then you put Decade in another show, and the show is better because it's Decade.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the weirdest part is like Zio right now is Skyrider, right? Skyrider was supposed to be like a reboot of the Showa. Basically, Showa had like a couple of different reboot-ish type shows. So like you had the original couple of shows. So you had like the first show where it had Rider 1 and 2. Then you had V3, which had V3 and Rider Man. Then you had X, which just had X. Then you had Amazons, and then it got canceled. No. Then it had Stronger. Amazons is when they moved the time slot. And Amazon's pretty much fucking died. That's why it's like the shortest show until Decade. Then you kind of had a break, and then like Skyrider happened, and Skyrider was pretty much like
Skyrider was supposed to be a reboot.
Yeah, a reboot of
that didn't work out.
Pretty much, like he was. I guess that explains like the Superman thing going on,
like,
where why and all
like
that.
For those of you, if you're listening to this and you've never seen those old Rider series, in Skyrider they refer to him as Kamen Rider because it was supposed to be a reboot. And at no point do they ever call him Skyrider. That name became canon later on, years after his show ended, to differentiate it.
Yeah, it's weird. And then, but the other thing is like they tried to do like a reboot of the franchise, but it didn't work out. So like a little ways into the show, he kind of meets the other writers, gets a power up. So that's why you have like a different, like the Skyrider outfit you see now, where it's like a lighter green and like a more bright orange. That's kind of like his powered up form. That happens when they decided, okay, the show is not working. We have to throw in cameos from the old writers, and then it sort of succeed. And so that's what I'm saying is like Zio is basically Skyrider, where it's like, yeah, it was an okay show until you threw in like a previous writer, and then it became decent. You know, so it's basically having that problem. Who knows? Maybe it'll work itself out because it's getting original story.
So since it got mentioned with older writers and stuff, I want them to at least go for one episode, go to the Showa era.
Oh, totally. Even if it's Ichigo.
Oh no, I have a specific one in mind because I want Decade to be in the episode too.
Okay, do share.
I want them to go.
Do share your fanfic.
I want them to go to Rider Man.
Oh,
just so they can have Gact.
Gact? No, it's not happening. Because Gact is not the original Rider Man. But I know what you're saying.
But you've got Decade, so you can use the excuse of, well, we went to Decade's version of GACT.
The
Or
kids
of Rider
version.
Net.
Yeah, they can't afford gag. That's just the reality.
Nobody can afford GACT at this point.
I don't know, man. Who knows?
Spotify sure as hell
maybe-
can't.
Based on the movie trailer, it looks like they can afford original Deno.
Well, yeah, they can afford. Let's see, who was it?
Well, they can't just afford him. They also somehow convinced him to come back. More importantly, his managers, who were like, "Yeah, no, you're not getting him back after the way he was treated."
What? Like, Deno had a problem? I thought he was treated really okay.
So it's not that they treated him poorly.
Oh,
it's
the
that-
working at the death thing?
Yeah, it's because he had to basically play a character with schizophrenia that he was like constantly overworked.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that was mostly his doing. But then again, like, yeah.
It was mostly just like, yeah, no, those weren't ideal working conditions. We don't want you going back to doing movies with them.
Which, I mean,
Yeah,
that's fair.
To be fair, he just has to make a cameo, so it's much better. But yeah, you're right. Japan tends to be really...
Fortunately, he also happened to be the writer that gets possessed by demons, so all they have to do is have that demon's voice actor and call it good.
Holy shit. Yeah, imagine how lucky that is, right? Like, had it been any other dude, like, we would not have seen Deno back in, like...
Ever.
Yeah. Like, 15 years? I mean, 10 years? 10 just happened. Yeah, pretty sure, you're right.
But,
Until this point.
For the movie, they have Ryotaro back, they have Agito back.
Whoa.
They also have
Okay.
Ghost and Decade, which, well, no fucking shit.
we know
They're
that.
in the series.
Double.
And they also got Ryuki back.
Fuck!
but-
Holy
but-
shit!
but-
No way,
but-
Shinji's coming back?
There is a possibility
Wait.
that he and Agito may be voice only.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know who's
They've been doing
physically
video games.
appearing. Ryuki's actor looks nothing like he used to, so I wouldn't be surprised if, for that alone, he's voice only just to maintain the image of his character.
Okay, fine. I guess that makes sense. It's been like 20
It's not ideal, but like I would honestly not be
Okay,
shocked.
yeah, at least they're getting their voice. At this point, yeah, I'm fine. As long as they get the original guy somehow in the show, I'm cool with it. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like, if we go to Showa era, for God's sakes, I don't want another fucking Kamen Rider Black or RX thing. I know Japan, you have this thing with fucking 80s of, like, hyper nostalgia. And, like, we only have to reference that and everybody will be on. But I'm like, enough with this shit. Right? Like, okay, he's cool and all, but, like, he's shown up so much. Black and RX show up in so much shit. Right? Like, okay, fine. You can't get Ichigo. It's cool. Get fucking Rider 2. Well, I was gonna say Amazons, but that's not possible. Amazon, no. Fucking Super 1 somehow. That'd be pretty hard, but, that'd be cool. Or any of the 90s guys. They get nothing.
What was it? Kamen Rider G?
Oh my god, if they get G.
The goddamn
Holy
wine bottle.
shit.
Wait, Kamen Rider G?
Yeah, that special anniversary short that they did for a decade.
The one where he had a wine bottle.
He's powered
for
by
a-
booze. Kamen Rider powered by booze. It's freaking great. His catchphrase is taste.
Holy shit, his suit.
Yeah, I know it looks weird, but in motion it looks pretty good. It's something like taste my mixture of like justice or eggs, whatever. He's got like a really cool catchphrase. The only problem I have is whenever he henshins, he blows up.
Have
like,
a
the front of the
taste
building.
of my mix of evil and justice flavors.
Yeah. That's so good.
Because
Because I'm like, okay.
every time he henshins, he blows a giant fucking G into a building.
I know. I'm like, oh my god, you're the villain at this point.
You were trying to save one person. You just killed hundreds.
Oh fuck. Civil War caused by Kamen Rider G and. Oh my god. Holy fuck.
Yep, I got a picture of the giant fucking G destroying half of a literal building.
I know, it's great. At least when fucking like O slashes a building in half with his finisher, he puts it back, you know? Or when
Or like
Kiva,
Kiva's Rider Kick just leaves like some indents in the ground.
I know. I was gonna say when Castle Duran shows up, at least the building flows down slowly. You know?
Like this is actual destruction I'm looking at here. There's fire. Like
Oh, it's great. It's awesome because this is like they did like a special for like a band or something where like the members were really into Rider, so they did like this short with like the lead member of the band. But the problem is like one of the other members of the band was super pissed because he's also a really big Rider fan. It's like, what the fuck? You get to do it, but not me. Oh, it's really funny if you see like the video of that, them seeing it, like revealing it live. Oh,
this is the Akiba Ranger of Rider.
Yes, absolutely.
oh man. Actually, no. There is a whole comedy series that was running in the 90s, based just making fun of Showa Kamen Rider. And the problem is that show actually did massive damage to Rider. So much so that like that's the whole reason where like Kuga came back and is basically like super different than Showa Rider. I mean, I know we think he's like pretty similar, but like realistically, plot-wise, it's like, okay, he doesn't wear a spandex suit. It's relatively armored, kind of. Like the belt goes inside of him. He works with the cops. He's not taking out evil bases, you know. So he is different than Showa. And that's why like Toei kind of had this thing of like, no, we have to do it different than Showa. It's because this comedy series in the 90s made so much fun of Rider, and Rider just became this like massive running joke in Japan. And so that's why like Toei kind of has this really hard mindset, or they did starting out. It's like, no, we have to be super different than Showa. Anyway, anything else we want to talk about? We're just like saying random shit.
We're just kind of shooting the shit at this point.
Pretty much.
I'm good.
For those listening at this point, this
Yeah,
is
if you're listening 90 minutes in, thank you.
Thank you, number one. And two,
Thank
this is
you.
basically what we talk about when we end the podcast. So enjoy the behind the scenes thing that ended up not being behind the scenes.
Merry Christmas.
I guess on that, we shall part ways. For Kamen Rider, I don't know what the plan is for next week, but I figured for Sentai we could do the Lupin versus PatoRanger on film movie. Seeing as
So
the
they're
show,
going
seeing
on
the
break
shows
next
are on
week?
break next week.
Okay.
Oh, they are nice. Yeah, I think we could just do the Sentai movie. Rider, see if anything comes out. I don't know. Maybe Drago or whatever might do the Garo thing, like how it is so far. I have no idea. Or maybe King and Drago will. Fuck, I don't know the name. You know the show?
Miraculous.
Yeah, that one.
Oh yeah, Vashi, how far into season 1 are you?
I'm nearing the end of it.
Yeah, we could do like a season 1 discussion.
Okay, I'll try to catch up by then. We might be able to do it then. Anyway, thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.